Welcome back to MHS Midnight Horror Stories. I know that many of you come to these videos as a gentle way to unwind before drifting off to sleep. So, before you close your eyes tonight, could I ask you for one small favor? Just leave me a quick interaction, a comment, a like, or maybe share where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Little actions like that help YouTube recognize the content and spread it to more people who might enjoy it. My current goal is to reach around 300 likes within the first 24 hours. Now then, let's step into tonight's chilling stories together. I used to work as an assistant director for a cable television network in California. We specialized in producing shows that explored paranormal phenomena. The job had a good salary, flexible hours, and sometimes I even met a few celebrities. I thought I would stick with this career for a long time. That summer, we were assigned to film a special episode at an abandoned mental hospital outside the city. Our guest was a rising pop singer. I'll call her Madison to protect her image. Honestly, Madison's gentle image wasn't a good fit for these kinds of shows, but her management company wanted her to appear on our program to create a new, edgier impression. Madison was very popular at the time. I remember the planning meeting where our executive producer said this was a golden opportunity and we had to be absolutely meticulous. The filming day was near the end of August. It was unusually hot, even as it got close to evening. Our entire crew had 8 people: the director, the cameraman, lighting, sound, me, and 3 other production assistants. Madison arrived 2 hours late, accompanied by her personal assistant and makeup artist. She smiled, waved to everyone, and apologized for the delay. We started filming on the 3rd floor, which used to be the isolation treatment area. The hallway was long, lined with small rooms that had rusted iron doors. The smell of mold and dampness was overwhelming. Madison acted quite well. The initial script had her screaming when she heard a noise and clutching the male host's arm. Everything went normally until we entered room 17. The walls were peeling, the concrete floor was cracked, and a rusty iron bed frame sat in the corner. The air inside felt heavy and suffocating. I wasn't the only one who felt it. I noticed the cameraman looked uncomfortable, constantly shifting how he held the camera. The director cued us to start filming. Madison walked into the middle of the room as instructed. According to the script, she was supposed to read a few lines about how she felt, but Madison just stood still. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. The director asked if she was okay. She didn't answer. Then, her head began to tilt to the right, slowly, like a puppet whose strings were being pulled. Next, her eyes opened unusually wide, and both pupils rolled back until only the whites were showing. Each eye was looking in a completely different direction. Her face started to distort. One cheek drooped down while the other side scrunched up, making her face look twisted. I had never seen a human face contort like that before. "Madison?" her assistant screamed. But the person standing in the middle of the room wasn't Madison anymore. A guttural roar erupted. It sounded like an elderly man being choked. Then, she charged toward us with terrifying speed. One sound guy who was standing closest couldn't get out of the way fast enough. She grabbed his shirt tightly. Madison bit hard into his arm. I swear I heard a cracking sound. The sound guy screamed in agony. Her assistant and another production assistant rushed in to pull Madison away, but she was unbelievably strong. Madison flung her assistant, who fell hard into a corner. The other PA tried to hold her back and was bitten on the shoulder. With a tearing sound, most of the young man's ear was ripped, left dangling and bleeding non-stop. Everyone was screaming. The director yelled for an ambulance. The cameraman was still filming. I don't know if it was professional instinct or if he was too shocked to move. I stood frozen, my feet feeling glued to the ground. Then, the heavy smell of waste filled the air. Madison, with her face still distorted and still growling, had urine streaming down her legs. Everyone was horrified. A few seconds later, another foul smell appeared. She had also defecated. None of us dared to get close. We didn't even dare to move, afraid she would go completely insane again. After a few minutes, Madison suddenly collapsed. Her body went limp, like all her bones had been removed. We waited a few more minutes before daring to approach. By then, Madison was awake. She looked at the scene around her, then at herself, but showed absolutely no expression. Then she asked in a normal voice, "Have we started filming yet?" The ambulance arrived and took the 2 bitten crew members to the hospital. Madison was taken away by her management company. There were no police and no official investigation. Everything was handled discreetly because a celebrity was involved. The next day, I received a call from the network executives. The man's voice on the other end was cold. The show was completely canceled. All the footage had to be destroyed. No one was allowed to mention this incident in any form. A non-disclosure agreement, NDA, would be sent to everyone. That same afternoon, we signed the NDA. We didn't ask any questions. Anyone in this industry is used to keeping secrets. About a week later, we heard news that the sound guy, the first person she bit, had been in a car accident. He was driving on the highway and suddenly swerved straight into the median barrier. He survived, but had 3 broken ribs and a concussion. He told the police that he saw a woman with a distorted face sitting in the back seat through his rearview mirror. A few months after that, the production assistant whose ear was bitten was found collapsed in his apartment. His neighbors said they heard terrible screaming and quickly called the police. When they broke down the door, he was seizing on the floor, foaming at the mouth, with his eyes rolled back. He was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. I heard he couldn't speak anymore. He just made growling noises. As for me, after the incident, I struggled to sleep. I often dreamed of Madison's distorted image. I started being afraid of the dark. My mind constantly imagined ghosts and demons. I requested a transfer to another department, taking a simple administrative job. One time I ran into Madison's personal assistant at a coffee shop. She was much thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. "You don't look well?" I asked. Madison's assistant nodded slightly. She was taking a lot of medication. Even before we filmed that episode, she was under so much pressure and had a brutal schedule from the company. They kept piling on rules, contracts, and clauses. The pills helped her keep it together for a while, until they weren't enough anymore. I knew the she the assistant was talking about was Madison. I didn't say anything, choosing to listen silently. But what happened in that room was the result of having to hold on for too long. She really just broke. At this point, the assistant broke down crying. I sat with her until she calmed down and didn't ask anything else. Madison stopped appearing publicly. Her career was virtually frozen after the incident. There were rumors she was in treatment at a private psychiatric facility on the East Coast. Some people said she had left the entertainment industry for good. I worked until the end of that month and then quit my job. I'm no longer sure if what we witnessed that day was a paranormal phenomenon or just the result of a mind pushed to its absolute limit. But I know that since that day, I no longer look at the entertainment industry or people in the same way. This happened about 5 years ago during winter break. I was only 15 years old then. I was hosting a sleepover at my house with 5 of my best friends: Ethan, Liam, Aiden, Oliver, and Ben. We had all known each other since we were little kids. My parents were away for a few days, so Oliver's uncle Nathan came to watch us. Nathan was a funny and laid-back guy. We felt totally safe with him around. Nathan was professionally trained in martial arts and even coached MMA fighters. My family also owned 2 large bulldogs. What's better than doing whatever you want with your closest friends during winter break? Everyone arrived that afternoon, just as it was getting dark. It was typical winter weather, with heavy rain and a gloomy sky. The rain was pouring down, and the thunder sounded louder than usual. Nathan ordered pizza for the group, and we decided to watch a horror movie, as the stormy weather created the perfect atmosphere. We were halfway through the movie when the doorbell rang. Everyone guessed it was the pizza delivery guy, and Nathan went to open the door. Nathan looked through the peephole and saw the delivery guy. As Nathan described it, the man was about 6 feet tall and had a strange, unsettling expression. Nathan said the guy immediately gave him a bad vibe. Nathan opened the door, and the man handed over the pizza, but didn't say a single word, just gave a long, creepy smile. Nathan paid and quickly shut the door. Afterward, he told us it was one of the most awkward moments of his life. He had to just stand there while the man silently grinned at him. Even though we felt something was off, we tried to ignore it and kept watching the movie. By the time the movie ended, it was close to midnight. We decided to sleep together in the large living room upstairs. Aiden and I slept on the bed, and the others set up sleeping bags around us on the floor. Nathan stayed downstairs watching his favorite movie on the sofa. After about 30 minutes of talking, everyone gradually drifted off to sleep. I don't know how much time passed, but suddenly, Aiden was shaking my shoulder. His face looked worried and he whispered, "Do you hear that?" I listened closely, and there was a tapping noise coming from the window. At first I thought it was thunder, but then Aiden leaned in and said, "I think someone is trying to break in." My heart started pounding fast, and we stared at the window, completely paralyzed with fear. The tapping stopped. After the tapping stopped, a dark silhouette appeared right on the window glass. The person was wearing a hoodie, and I couldn't clearly see their face. I jumped off the bed and ran to the window, locking it quickly just as the guy tried to open it. Right at that moment, he smiled in a very unsettling and terrifying way. I only saw his distinct white teeth. The rest of his face was obscured. Aiden and I quickly woke everyone up. Then, the tapping returned, louder and more aggressive. He started yelling something, but we didn't pay much attention. The whole group ran straight downstairs to wake up Nathan. Nathan didn't hesitate at all. He went to open the dog's crate and led them straight outside. Aiden and I followed him, and the others huddled by the door. The sight we saw was terrifying. A ladder was leaning against the side of the house, placed right under the bedroom window. It turned out the tapping sound earlier was the ladder hitting the wall as the man climbed up. Nathan spotted muddy footprints leading to the backyard and ran toward the bushes. We saw the man crouching down under a bush in the garden, trying to hide. Nathan rushed in, the 2 dogs barking loudly beside him, and they lunged, biting the man's jacket. While the man was struggling with the 2 dogs, Nathan seized the opportunity and quickly threw a hard punch at his face. He yelled back at us, "Call the police!" It took the police a while to arrive because of the storm. The man was quickly arrested. The final detail that still haunts me is when the police officer said this wasn't the first time this man had engaged in such behavior. But the most terrifying thing was when Nathan swore that he was the same man who delivered our pizza that night. I still remember that creepy smile, and now I understand it wasn't the smile of an awkward delivery guy. It was the smile of someone who was planning something. Every time I think about what could have happened, if Aiden hadn't woken up in time, or if Nathan hadn't been there, or if we didn't have the two dogs. I get goosebumps all over. I learned a very important lesson from this experience, that sometimes our intuition isn't meaningless. It's a warning we can't ignore. We felt the strangeness from the pizza guy, the signs of trouble right when he showed up, but we didn't act on it immediately. However, luckily, we still recognized the danger before it was too late.
I'm Devlin. I'm 29 years old. I had a happy family with my parents, my older brother Dylan, who's 10 years older than me, and my sister Donna, who's 7 years older than me. My family wasn't rich, especially when Dylan had got lung cancer at the age of 19. We lived in a house where the rent was almost the same as my mom's salary. Plus, the house was really far from the hospital where Dylan was getting treated, so my parents decided to move. We moved to a big house with enough rooms for the three of us. The house was old, but the rent was half as much, and it was really close to the hospital. My family was going to start a new life here. We always boosted Dylan up and stayed by his side to help him get through his illness. Unlike my parents, who were happy with the new house, I didn't like its dark and musty atmosphere. Donna was always there to comfort me. She said the musty smell would go away once the house was cleaned and Dad put in more lights. Dylan's illness got worse, so he had to quit school and focus on recovering. My parents took great care of Dylan, and Donna looked after me. Since we moved to the new house, I haven't had a good night's sleep. Every night the sound of glass clinking together echoed. I figured it was coming from Dylan's room since he had to take a lot of medicine. The vibe in the family was a lot quieter, and meals weren't as cheerful as they used to be. I saw Dylan looking tired and pale. My parents were trying to handle the financial issues. I didn't like living in this house. I missed the cozy feel of the old place. One night I heard some noises and woke up. Even though I tried to ignore them, I could still hear footsteps and the sound of wheels rolling on the floor. I opened the door, looked out into the hallway, and felt it chill, even though I was inside the house. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared at the end of the hallway, walked toward Dylan's door, and then just faded away. "Dylan? Is that you?" The echo made me scared of my own voice. "Haven't you slept, Devlin?" Hearing Dylan's answer, I was relieved and said I needed to use the bathroom and returned to my room. The noises started up again, but there were no more footsteps. I figured Dylan was still awake. One day it was just Dylan and me at home. After lunch, I did the dishes while Dylan went back to his room to rest. After I finished the dishes, I didn't know what to do, so I just sat in the living room and watched TV. Suddenly, a terrible smell filled the room, and I reacted pretty strongly. I walked around the living room and kitchen, but didn't find anything unusual. Dylan must have been asleep, so I didn't want to wake him. I decided to hang on until my mom and Donna came back. I went upstairs and closed the door to get away from that awful smell. I looked for the game console to pass the time, but after almost 20 minutes, I still couldn't find it. I must have left it on the desk. I'm wondering if Dylan borrowed it and forgot to mention it. I lay on the bed with the comic book and vaguely heard a really sad cry. Before I could figure out what was going on, a dark shadow passed by the door and made me jump. When was the door opened? I went out of the room and called Dylan's name, but he didn't answer. I went to Dylan's door and knocked, but there was still no response. I wondered if it was him or not. That night, I told everyone about the weird things I'd seen recently. But no one believed me, and even my mom was really mad. My dad looked at Dylan sadly, lowered his head, and didn't say anything. Donna told my mom to calm down. "The noise was because your brother was in pain. which kept him up and made him walk around the house trying to find some relief. But my game console, it was because you didn't clean up your stuff. I've told you about this a bunch of times, right? And the smell in the house, I definitely noticed it. When she heard me say that, my mom slumped down and looked at Dylan. My dad hugged Dylan's shoulders while he bowed his head, pursed his lips, and clenched his fists. I'm sorry, Devlin. I couldn't control my bowel, and it was affecting you. My parents and Dylan all burst into tears. They hugged him tightly to comfort him. At that moment, I just stared at them blankly. My 9-year-old self couldn't really understand everything that was going on. Donna took me back to my room and talked to me a lot. The next day, I met Dylan as I wanted to get closer to him. The mood in the family was happy again, but it wasn't long before Dylan had to be hospitalized. Strangely, even after Dylan wasn't at home anymore, weird things still kept happening. I could only talk to Donna about it, and one day she started feeling the same way I did. One time she saw a figure, missing its left arm and right leg, holding a big gun and staring at her from the corner of the room. We decided to search the house. When I got to the warehouse area, I found a big, old wooden box. Inside were really blurry black and white photos of people sleeping. Donna set the box down and picked up the photos to look at it. They're not just sleeping. These are dead bodies. Donna's words sent a chill down my spine. The book she was reading was the notes of someone who used to work here. During the war, this house was a local morgue. It held lots of bodies of wounded soldiers and innocent civilians. My sister and I didn't get a chance to tell our parents before Dylan had passed away. Losing Dylan nearly broke my mom, and everything in the family was turned upside down. My mom wanted to move back to the old house because it held so many memories of Dylan. Before we left, Donna and I showed our parents the photos in the notebook. My parents invited a priest to come and pray for Dylan's soul and for all the souls in the house. It's been 20 years, and my family hasn't stopped thinking about Dylan for a single day.
I'm Isaac, 26 years old, living in Kentucky. Every weekend I drive my green van to go camping with Rex, the dog I've had for 3 years. We've been to many places. Rex always sits in the passenger seat, his bright eyes gazing out the window. It was a weekend in June as I was preparing to head to Daniel Boone National Forest in the Appalachian Mountains. Rex jumped into the van, wagging his tail nonstop as he saw me load the sleeping bags and tent into the back. The weather forecast predicted rain, but I didn't want to cancel the plan. The further I drove into the mountains, the darker the sky got. Black clouds swirled around the mountain peaks, and the wind shook the trees. We arrived at the spot at 3 p.m., but it already felt like 6 p.m. because the sky was so dark. Rex began to get restless, unable to sit still. I was looking for a place to set up the tent when I spotted an open area by the side of the road. It was ideal, flat and shaded by trees. As soon as I turned off the engine, Rex started barking loudly. I looked out and saw a man sitting about 10 meters away, his back turned to us. Around him were scattered camping supplies, a backpack, sleeping bag, and a gas stove. I opened the van door and waved. Sorry, I didn't know someone was here. I'll find another spot. The man didn't respond. He remained seated, his back slightly hunched, staring at the ground. Rex barked louder, trying to rush toward the man. I had to hold him back. It's okay, Rex. We'll go somewhere else. I drove off, but Rex kept looking back, barking until the van turned onto a different road. I'd never seen him react like that to a stranger. After driving another 2 miles, I found another spot near a creek. The rain started pouring heavily as I finished setting up the tent. Rex ran into the tent first, shivering and refusing to come out. That night, it rained heavily. I lay in my sleeping bag, listening to the rain pounding on the tent and the sound of the creek flowing. Rex lay next to me, but he kept getting up, his ears standing tall, growling softly. I petted his head and whispered, "Is the rain too much for you, Rex?" But I couldn't sleep either. The rain was intense, and thunder cracked every few minutes, shaking the ground. The next morning, the rain stopped, but the sky remained cloudy. Rex wasn't his usual cheerful self. He didn't run around, didn't sniff the flowers. He stayed close to me, continuously looking toward the forest. We had sandwiches and coffee for breakfast, cooked on a gas stove. I took a few scenic photos, but Rex refused to pose as he usually does. "All right, Rex, let's head home early today." I packed up our stuff and put Rex in the van. As I was driving back toward the main road, Rex suddenly barked loudly. The next moment, a large black bear ran across the road. I slammed on the brakes, and the van skidded on the wet road, coming to a stop just off the side of the road. My heart was pounding. The bear ran into the forest and disappeared. I sat there for a moment to calm down, then realized we were stopped right at the spot where I'd seen the man yesterday. He was still sitting there. I looked more closely. He was sitting just like yesterday, back hunched, head bowed, his hands resting on his thighs. His camping gear was still scattered around him. This was strange. It had rained heavily last night. Why didn't he set up his tent and just sit there? I turned off the engine and opened the van door. Rex jumped down but didn't run around like usual. He stayed close to me, fur bristling, eyes locked on the man. I kept the leash tight. "Hey, are you all right?" There was no answer. His clothes were soaked. Raindrops gathered on his hair and fell to the ground in a steady rhythm. I took a step closer. Rex growled softly, his legs stiff. "Do you need help? Have you been sitting here all night?" Still no response. I noticed his breathing was shallow, his chest barely rising. Was I seeing things? It was hard to see clearly from this distance. I took another step closer. Rex stepped back, the leash pulling tight. I was now only about 4 meters away from him. A strange smell lingered in the air. "Are you having some kind of problem?" I raised my voice slightly. He still didn't react. I took another step forward. The smell became stronger, foul and decayed. "Are you okay?" I reached my hand out, ready to touch his shoulder. When my arm was only half a meter from him, I saw more clearly. There was something on the ground around where he was sitting. Brownish red stains, some dry, others still fresh. I stopped. My heart started racing. "Hey!" I touched his shoulder. It was stiff and cold. I pulled my hand back immediately. Rex barked sharply, almost like a warning. I slowly moved around to the front of the man. Then I saw something horrifying. His chest and stomach were ripped open. The gashes were uneven, as though they had been torn apart with claws. Through the rips, I could see his flesh inside. Part of his chest had been torn out, leaving a deep, dark red cavity. The ribs were exposed, white and jagged. His stomach was also ripped open, part of his intestines missing. I clutched my stomach, feeling nauseous. The stench was unbearable now. The smell of blood, rotting flesh, death. Suddenly, his body tilted to the side, maybe because I had touched him and disturbed his balance. He fell to the left, his head hitting the ground with a small thud. Now I could see his face clearly. His eyes were clouded, no longer reflecting light. His face was pale, with signs of decomposition in some areas. I stepped back, shaking uncontrollably. Rex barked incessantly, trying to pull me away from there. I remembered the bear running across the road earlier. It must have found the body and eaten part of it. I quickly grabbed Rex and ran back to the van, nearly tripping. I started the engine and drove off as fast as I could, not daring to look back. Once I reached the residential area, I stopped at a gas station and called 911 with my hands still trembling. After the police investigation, I learned the man's name was Michael Thompson, 42, from Seattle. He had died from sudden cardiac arrest on Thursday afternoon, before Rex and I arrived. His body had indeed been affected by a black bear. I will never forget the scene that day, and I'll never go camping alone again.
My name's Francis. I'm 30 years old. 5 years ago, me and my best friend Jeffrey, who shared with me the passion for mountain climbing and adventure, especially the discovery of new and untouched lands, decided that we're going on an adventure together. We're planning to go on a climb to Long Peaks, Colorado. We're planning to go there, and so we're preparing for the trip by arranging our work schedules. After that, we'll be climbing many mountains together for quite some time. The time it normally took for a summit wasn't fixed. There's a lot of variations like weather, terrains, and our own acclimatization. With everything prepped and ready, we're heading to our destination with very high spirit. According to our research, climbing there often took somewhere between 10 to 12 hours for a long trip up and down Long Peaks. We started our trip early, and at the start, everything was great. At 11 a.m., we're holding out at a rather flat ground to rest and lunch. Jeffrey was planning to have a long break. He wanted to go around for some photographing. Jeffrey was an avid animal lover. He even had an album with him and the wild animals on his treks before. We're still ahead of time, so I gave him the green light. Jeffrey grabbed his camera and started walking around the site. I decided to get a quick rest right there where we stood. The shades from the trees, the smell of fresh grass and earth. I truly loved this place. The sound of the camera snapping pictures echoed more and more quiet in volume now. He must be rather far away now. I did not remember for how long, but when I was dozing off, Jeffrey came to wake me up. He was very excited with the pictures he'd taken, the uniquely picturesque, as he quoted it. The one stood out among those was the picture about the squirrel den. Normally, squirrels made their dens on the tree trunks. However, he claimed to have seen a squirrel den on the ground. I take a closer look at the picture. I could see two overly spooked animals huddling inside a den with two symmetrical openings. The den looked creepier the more I looked at it. So to confirm it wasn't something off, I told him to take me there to the den. He did, after a moment of confusion, happily took me there. When I got there, I decided to clear the scene a bit by flicking out the dirt and a few rotten leaves away. So my feeling was indeed correct. It wasn't a squirrel den, but a dried out human skull. We looked at each other, our spores filled with an unspoken dread. Jeffrey took a step back and heard a loud snap on his heels. He froze in his tracks while I approached closer and cleared out the scene for a better look. Another dried out skeleton, lying on the chest, had just been under Jeffrey's boots. After a quick cleanup, we discovered a total of 4 human skeletal remains, 2 adults and 2 children. Their clothes remained rather intact, with a lot of expensive stuff on their bodies. It must be someone really, really rich. I tried calling the police, but there's no reception. Jeffrey was dumbfounded by the discovery. He kept staring at the skeletons. I thought Jeff was on the verge of a panic attack, so I told him to descend first, getting the police to come. However, he refused, telling me to do that first instead. He'd remain here so the police would not get lost. I hesitated at first, but decided it's the better option. When I returned with 3 police officers, Jeffrey was still there in silence, staring at the skeletons. When the officers told us to cooperate and get our statements, I was willing, while Jeffrey, citing the stress of this discovery and the exhaustion of the trek, declined and immediately headed back to the hotel room. After the investigation, the police announced to me that this was a millionaire family living 300 kilometers away from Long Peaks. They were reported missing for 3 years, and the search was, until this discovery, ongoing. According to the expensive outfits on their skeletal bodies, they were not hiking at the time of death. The police, suspecting it to be a homicide, would continue with the investigation further. Our hiking trip was doomed. We headed home the next day, still haunted by the discovery of what had happened. Jeffrey changed after that incident. He was no longer a joyful person anymore. He became a reserved person. His sight sunk into the ground. He became disinterested in his usual activities. Even I couldn't raise it anymore. His collection of living, joyful living animals replaced by the albums of their death poses. Their final expression was often of pain and fear of their deaths. Jeffrey and I became more and more distant, and eventually he told me that he's going to move back to live with his family. I, for many times, tried to contact him and suggesting on visit, yet every single time he declined. I worriedly told his mother to check on his sudden change of mood and personality. His family also took him to therapy, yet even the best psychiatrists failed to notice anything unusual. After 3 months, he disappeared without a trace. There was no sign of violence or robbery. All of his relationships remained amicable. There was no one who could have thought about harming him. Without a trace, without any evidence, the investigation came to a dead end. However, the family remained steadfast that their son would one day return to them, that their son just pulled a Chris McCandless move on them and would one day return from his adventure. Until one day, they decided to do a renovation of his home. During the excavation process, the family found a body buried in the backyard. Needless to say, Jeffrey's mom was devastated. Her hunch told her clearly that it was her son, who's been missing for the last 2 years. The investigation confirmed it was him. The cause of death was asphyxia, due to airway congestion by burying alive. There was no sign of physical impact. Under the hole where he'd been found, they dug up a shovel, but all fingerprints on it were his. His death still haunted me to this day. Was it a supernatural force that drained him out and buried him under? Or was it a vile secret that he'd literally keep to his grave? I messed up big time. I'm Raymond, 26, and I just moved from Tennessee to Texas for work. I've been dealing with depression and have been getting treatment at the hospital in my hometown for the past 2 years. The illness has made me miss out on a lot of opportunities and beautiful things in life. I moved to a completely new place with the hope of starting over. I started working at a securities company and rented a small house on the outskirts of the city. But the pressure from work and finances made me start regretting my decision. Every problem feels like a tighter knot in a rubber band, making me feel incredibly suffocated. There were many times I thought about going back home, but I kept pushing myself a little harder. One morning, as I was getting ready for work, I found a note on the refrigerator that said, "Remember to bring lunch." I just stared at the handwriting on the note, feeling blank. Since I was running late for work, I didn't think much of it. I just opened the cupboard and grabbed the burrito I made the night before. The next day at work, I found another note on my kitchen table, written in the same handwriting. "Remember to bring an umbrella, it's going to rain today." Since I live alone, I wondered who could have written these notes. Anyway, it wasn't too serious, so I decided to follow the note's advice once more. That day, the unexpected cloudy rain was really annoying and caught everyone off guard. As for me, I was pretty relaxed with the umbrella I brought. In the following days, the notes started appearing regularly around the house. I once decided not to follow the note's advice, and that day turned out to be really terrible. Catch up with Lucy today. Present your presentation with confidence, and remember to back up your point of view. I just got used to the notes showing up around the house without thinking much about it. It felt like it was predicting the future and reminding me of everything I needed to do. I felt like I was back to my true self, no longer self-conscious or afraid. I even had a girlfriend named Janet. It might sound a bit silly, but it was the notes that helped me win her over. It showed me how to make a good impression and how to confess my feelings. She was very beautiful, with long brown hair that always smelled like fresh roses. She was gentle and thoughtful. My life was incredibly happy during that time. The notes became indispensable to me, like how you need to eat every day to stay alive. That night was the first time she invited me to her place after 3 months of dating. 6:30, I'm making a super special creamy pasta for you. Needless to say, I was thrilled. I went home right after work, took a shower, and put on a really nice outfit. I didn't forget to pick up a bottle of wine and a bouquet of roses, her favorite flowers. At 6 p.m., just as I was about to leave the house, a note suddenly appeared on the door. "Finish, Janet." I was startled when I read that strange message. After thinking about it for a while, I guessed that finish might mean ending the relationship with Janet. But we were really happy together. Why would we end it? I decided to ignore the note and quickly headed to her place to make sure I arrived on time. But before I could even get in the car, another note appeared on the car door. "Kill Janet or don't go to her house." "What the heck?" I said, feeling a bit annoyed. I tore up the note, crumpled it, and tossed it in the trash. I got into the car planning to place the bottle of wine and the bouquet of flowers on the passenger seat. Another note appeared. "You have to kill Janet." I fell into deep thought, pondering everything. Up until now, the notes had always guided me accurately. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with a message. "Honey, everything's ready. Are you on your way?" I texted Janet back and quickly drove off. I pulled up in front of her house right at 6:30 p.m., but I didn't go in right away. I just sat in the car, my mind racing with chaotic thoughts. Holding the bouquet of flowers and the bottle of wine, I decided to trust in love this time. She greeted me with a bright smile, which instantly made me feel more at ease. She was busy in the kitchen, preparing the food, while I opened the bottle of wine at the dining table. Feeling a little bulge in my pocket, I reached in and pulled out another note. "End it all now. Whatever you do, don't eat the pasta." I was sweating from the awkward situation. She brought 2 beautifully decorated plates of noodles to the table and set them down. "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Janet asked, making me feel startled and embarrassed. "What's with the note?" she asked, continuing her curiosity. "No, just some notes from work," I replied. I quickly crumpled the paper and shoved it into my pocket. Sitting at the dining table, she rested her chin on her hand and looked at me expectantly, eager for me to try the noodles. I was sweating heavily under my shirt, and my throat felt so tight I couldn't swallow anything. I took a sip of wine and made an excuse to use the bathroom. My head felt like it was about to explode, so I splashed cold water on my face to try to wake myself up. It seemed like there was another note in my shirt pocket. "She will hurt you with a small knife." I felt weak and unsure of what to do. I loved Janet a lot, but I couldn't ignore these messages. Noticing I'd been gone for a while, Janet called out for me. I quickly walked out, startled to see her holding a small knife with a bright smile, while her other hand held a half-peeled apple. My mind was racing. I rushed to grab the knife from Janet's hand, and her panicked screams were loud, and the creamy pasta was covered in a layer of dark red and fishy liquid. Janet screamed and ran out of the house, while I sat on the floor in a daze, with my hands covered in red. A moment later, the police arrived and restrained me, despite my numerous explanations. I pulled out countless notes from my shirt and pants pockets, but they were completely blank. She was rushed to the emergency room and fortunately survived. The police took me back to Tennessee, and I ended up getting treated in a mental hospital. There were no notes predicting the future. I'd been living in a hallucination caused by my depression the whole time.
I am Jim, a police officer in the state of Illinois. One night, me and two buddies were out on night patrol. Everything was chill and the air was pretty cool for an October night. Yo, Jim, we got work again. Probably some stubborn kid out late or something. My buddy chimed in. And right after that, we started hearing a car engine getting louder, like it was speeding up. A blue car flew by, totally speeding. We signaled the driver down to stop real quick. Me and one of my buddies walked up to the car to check things out, while the other guy stayed by the patrol car, ready to jump in if needed. "Hello," I said. "Hold up, I'll call you back later. I'm talking to the cops." The driver quickly hung up when he saw us. It was this young guy, kind of rough looking and cold, with big, sort of bulging eyes, a buzz cut, and a short, scruffy beard. "What's up, officers?" "Did someone shoot at you?" I asked when I saw the back window had some bullet holes in it. Yeah, they did," the guy said as he tried to get out of the car. I quickly grabbed the car door and told him to stay put and answer my questions. "They shot at my car." He said he wasn't involved in any shooting. "I got attacked by some random armed guys." "What's your name?" "Randy." "You got ID on you?" "Yes, sir." "All right, Randy. I hope you cooperate." To keep things safe during the mission, I cuffed Randy and tossed him in the patrol car. While searching Randy's car, we found a little bullet-shaped bottle with white powder in it, and some of it spilled out by mistake. "Julian," I shouted to my partner. "I found it on the dash." Julian quickly pointed his flashlight to what I was holding, looking confused. "I already checked it out. Take a look." At first, I thought it was something illegal, but after testing it, it seemed like ecstasy. Still not totally sure though. Pretty soon my other partner found a decent amount of weed in Randy's car. Even though Illinois is one of the states letting adults use weed for fun, the amount you can have is strict, and you're not supposed to go back to your car after using it. We popped open the patrol car door and gave Randy a ticket for his violation. "'Cause you got some weed in your car, and there's something else." "What, sir?" Randy looked surprised by what I said. "Looks like some ecstasy." "What? Where?" "On the dash." "You sure? You check it?" Randy sounded pretty confident and kind of annoyed. I showed him the small bottle we found earlier, and Randy flipped out right away. No, you can't do that." Even though he was cuffed, Randy decided to reach forward and grab the bottle out of my hand. Without thinking, we shoved Randy back into the car, which just made him lose it even more. The guy started crying. "Give it back to me. What are you doing? That's my daughter. Give her back." Randy's words had me and the other guy staring at each other, totally shocked. No, that's my daughter. She died when she was 2. Give her back to me." We slammed the car door, left Randy inside, and tried testing the white powder again. "Please, it's important to me. Please," Randy kept crying and begging. Our team looked at each other and decided to trust Randy. His dad was there too, so we gave it back to him, but still had to arrest Randy for using weed. After checking things out, turns out Randy did have a 2-year-old daughter, but the girl died Because her mom, Randy's ex, totally neglected her, left her hungry, thirsty, and cold. She got charged with murder and sentenced to 20 years.
This was in the center console, and so I look at it.
Head over to back where we were. Yeah. Instead, go walk southbound to the cut there and see if as he came, they got pissed off when he flew down the memorial.
At first, I thought it was heroin, and so then I checked for cocaine, but it looks like it's probably my ex pill.
Oh yeah.
So
you got too much weed, anyways, and it's got to be like in different packaging. It's got to be like child resistant, odor proof.
No, bro. That's my daughter. What are y'all doing, bro? That's my daughter, bro. Give me that, bro. That's my daughter, bro. That's my daughter. What are y'all doing? No. Ask my daddy, bro. That's my daughter in there.
I will. Hang up.
What are y'all doing? Don't you know, bro? Y'all can't. What? Whoa, bro. Whoa. That's my. She just passed 2 years. She just passed last year. You know you know me, bro. That's her, bro. Okay. No, bro.
Let me talk to the
bro,
officer.
please give me my daughter, bro. Put her in my hand, bro. Y'all are disrespectful, bro.
You need to move your arm.
Okay, bro. Can I please have my daughter?
This story is based on a real event that went down in Springfield, Illinois. 2 police officers were out on a night patrol when they spotted a blue car speeding. The driver was 26-year-old Dartavius Barnes. Dartavius' story touched the officers that night, and even the audience, as they saw the deep love he had for his daughter. Six months later, Dartavius sued the police for illegal arrest and search, claiming they desecrated his daughter's ashes, and he demanded compensation from the authorities. The lawsuit was set for 2022, but it got delayed after Dartavius was accused of attacking the police all over his daughter's ashes. And to this day, the case is still making its way through the courts. I'm Lauren, decided to be a single mom to raise my son, Baron. This horrific thing happened to my mom and my son 3 years ago, back when Baron was 6. It was early December and Christmas, the biggest holiday of the year, was coming up. The streets were lit up with sparkling lights all over the fake Christmas trees along the sidewalks, making it feel all cozy, even in the cold. The busy tunes from the cafes and shops mixed with all the laughter from the shoppers. I took Baron out to grab some stuff and soak up the vibe. Inside the store, there were huge pine trees covered in lights and booths full of colorful gifts, making it feel like you were in some kind of holiday wonderland. My son and I headed out once the cart was full, and he was super hyped about the stuff we just got. At the entrance, we saw a Santa Claus guy, waving and looking all chill and friendly. Baron ran over all excited. Santa's gotta be every kid's favorite when Christmas rolls around. The kid gave Santa a friendly hello and grabbed his hand. I was pretty sure this was just a store employee. They really know how to grab people's attention and make them happy. I pushed the cart forward, gave a little smile and nod, like I was saying hi. Santa smiled and asked Baron what he wanted for Christmas. An RC jet. I love it. It's so cool. Baron was totally pumped. I laughed a little, since that was actually the gift I was going to get him. You'll totally get the gift you want, for you're a good kid, right? Santa's compliments, along with the little reminder, made Baron nod. The way the guy acting like Santa talked was hilarious. He also asked how things were going for me as a single mom. At first, I was touched by the sympathy, but then it was clear I hadn't told him anything about myself, but he knew all about it. I smiled kinda shy and gave him a suspicious look. Hey, you ever heard that song about Santa kissing the mom on Christmas Eve, kid? He asked Baron, but his eyes, smile, and the whole vibe of the question were aimed at me. Before Baron could even react, and I was totally surprised, that Santa came up and kissed my hand all close-like. He didn't stop there, though. He tried to get even closer. I quickly stepped back and pulled my son away, feeling pretty frustrated. When I got to the parking lot, I looked back at the entrance and that Santa was gone. Some people have such a weird attitude when it comes to customer service. Or is it just how people see things? I quickly shook off the thoughts about that Santa and started getting dinner ready for us. After dinner, we just kicked back in the living room, watching the Christmas special until it got pretty late. Out of nowhere, someone knocked on the door. I looked over, and then it knocked again. I told my son to stay put and walked over to the door. Honestly, I wasn't expecting anyone to show up at 10 at night. I didn't open the door, just stood a few steps back and asked, "Who's there?" I heard that familiar laugh, like in Christmas movies, and then he said, "It's Santa." Right away, Baron yelled and ran over, but I signaled him to chill and stay put. I asked him what he was doing here so late. This wasn't even the day for giving gifts to kids. Honestly, I was just trying to keep things cool for Baron, but I was pretty sure there was a scammer behind the door. The guy claiming to be Santa said he found something I dropped at Kroger this morning. So, it was that store employee my mom and I ran into earlier. I asked him what the item was, but he just gave me some vague, smart aleck answer. I don't know, but just open the door and I'll show you." Thanks, but I didn't drop anything, and if I did, I wouldn't need it back. The guy clearly had no clue what I was talking about. He just kept going on about me opening the door and all the knocking. I made it clear again and told him I'd call the police if he stuck around for another 5 minutes. Eventually, he just left. I took Baron to the bedroom, and he wouldn't stop asking about Santa. I had no idea how to explain it to him. He'd totally freak out if I told him Santa wasn't real. The next morning, I called up Kroger's customer service to complain about their employees bugging me. But the info they gave me was wild. They said they don't have any employees dressed up as Santa at the entrance. I froze up, anxiety hitting me all at once. If he wasn't a store employee, then who the heck was he? My mind was all over the place with questions, and I couldn't focus the rest of the morning. I called the police right away and told them everything I could remember. They said they'd look into it and boost patrols around the area to keep things safe. I couldn't sleep that night. Every little sound freaked me out. I kept checking my windows and doors, feeling like something was watching me. A week later, the police called and said they caught some sketchy guy. He'd been reported for the same kind of harassment before, and turns out he had a record for burglary and trespassing too. After being grilled, he finally admitted to it. I was glad to hear he got arrested. Those cold eyes stuck with me for a long time. Baron was way too young to get what happened, but I figured I should teach him to be careful around strangers, even if they seemed friendly. That Christmas, we still put up the tree, swapped gifts, and made great memories with our son and family. But deep down, I kept reminding myself to stay on guard. The world's got its fair share of Christmas magic, but also some unexpected dangers. The warm yellow lights light up the fancy restaurant, giving it a cozy, romantic vibe. The sweet piano music coming from the corner mixes with the laughter of couples enjoying Valentine's Day. Vincent and Lena are having dinner together at a table by the window. Vincent, in his sharp black suit and confident smile, gives off the vibe of a successful guy. Lena, rocking a tight red dress that shows off her curves, gazes lovingly at the guy across from her. Everything about Vincent makes Lena happy. His style, his chill vibe, and how he makes her feel special. They've known each other for a few months, and this dinner is their way of celebrating their growing relationship. Everything's perfect, from the food to the vibe It all feels like it's set up just for Lena to live out her romantic dream. The meal goes great, and Vincent waves the waiter over to their table. The waiter is a skinny guy in a tidy uniform, but he has a pale face and nervous eyes. He gives Lena a curious look while listening to Vincent's order. Lena gives the waiter a disapproving look, her face showing a bit of discomfort. Lena thinks the waiter's presence is kind of weird. She gets up, grabs Vincent's hand, and signals that they should bounce from the restaurant right away. Vincent, though a bit confused, still follows her. As Lena walks through the door, she glances back and sees the waiter still standing there, his eyes looking like he wants to say something. When Lena gets to the parking lot, she sighs, still feeling frustrated. But just as she's about to get in her car, a thought suddenly pops up. The watch! She hurries back to the restaurant, telling Vincent she left the watch he gave her in the bathroom. Vincent waits outside, his eyes following Lena as she disappears through the big glass doors of the restaurant. About 20 minutes later, Lena comes back, smiling big as she holds her watch in her hand. Vincent greets her with a soft squeeze of her hand, and they head out. It's still early, and they've eaten enough, so Vincent suggests going to his place for a few more glasses of wine. Lena quickly agrees. Vincent's house, like everything he owns, oozes luxury and class. Big glass walls surround the living room, giving a view of the starry night sky, and the fireplace light makes the space feel warmer. Vincent pours 2 glasses of red wine and sits down next to Lena on the big sofa. They talk, laugh, and share little stories about life. Lena leans her head on Vincent's shoulder, feeling his warmth and the scent of wine in the air. Time moves slowly, and everything feels perfect, like the kind of evening every couple dreams of. But the evening doesn't last forever. When the clock hits midnight, Lena feels her eyes getting heavy. Vincent smiles, gently helps her lie down on the sofa, and pulls the soft blanket over her. She falls asleep, feeling warm and safe. Lena wakes up when it's already dawn. The room is now quiet, with just the faint light from the dim fireplace left. Lena calmly packs up her things, fixes her hair in front of the big mirror in the living room, and leaves quietly. In her apartment, Lena sits on the sofa, sipping a cup of hot coffee. The watch on her wrist sparkles. She turns on the TV and switches to the morning news. The first image that shows up makes Lena stop. On the screen is a shot of the restaurant where they had dinner last night. The news talks about the mysterious death of a waiter. The guy was found collapsed in the restaurant's bathroom, with the cause still unknown. Lena sips her hot tea, remembering the waiter's confused look when he was caught eavesdropping on her phone call in a hidden corner of the restaurant. The corners of Lena's lips curl into a smile. Soon after, the news switches to something else. Young billionaire Vincent Davis has been found dead at his home. Authorities say there are no signs of foul play, but the cause of death remains undetermined. Early reports from the scene suggest that a stroke is a likely cause. Lena stares at the screen for a long time. Her smile gets bigger, and her eyes sparkle with satisfaction. She puts down her teacup and leans back in her chair, letting the sound of the TV echo in the quiet room. Lena takes out her phone and makes a call. "I've done what you asked. That big fortune is yours now. Just transfer the rest of the money to my account, and we'll cut off all contact." The romance between Vincent and Lena is now just a buried secret. For Lena, that Valentine's Day is really just a perfect memory with a nice reward. My name's Robbie, and I'm based in Denver. Last month, I flew out to Portland for a client meeting. My company had me booked at some downtown hotel equals, but I ditched that and grabbed a house on an app in the Pearl District instead. Quieter, and I like having a kitchen. It was a Friday night and work wrapped up earlier than expected. I was bored, so I opened up Tinder and started swiping. That's when I came across Jen. She was 28, Long brown hair, big bright smile. Local girl. Said she loved hiking. We matched right away. "Hey stranger, new around here?" That was the first message she sent, just a few minutes after we matched. 2 hours later, we were grabbing dinner at Pok Pok on Division. She showed up in casual clothes, totally chill vibe. What hit me was, she looked exactly like her profile pic. We clicked right away. She told me about bartending gigs, weekend hikes in the gorge. I couldn't get enough of her laugh. Dinner stretched to 3 hours. After that, we hit up a bar, then another one. Jen knew all the cool spots in town. She asked about Denver, my job, and why I was still single. Around midnight, she leaned in and suggested that we head back to my place, saying it might be nice to have a little privacy. I grinned. Called us a cab right then. In the car, she rested her head on my shoulder. Her perfume was subtle, but it hit me just right, got my heart racing a little. Once we got to the house, I poured us each a glass of whiskey. We sank into the couch, still chatting. After a bit, she set her glass on the table. "You mind if I step outside for a smoke?" she asked. Trying to quit, but you know. She gave this little shrug. "No worries," I said. "I'll be here." 5 minutes. She slipped out the door. I watched her go, smiling to myself. Would be kind of crazy if this was what I'd been looking for all along. I grabbed my phone, checked emails, scrolled through Instagram, the usual. Outside, a light drizzle started. 5 minutes ticked by. I got up, wandered into the kitchen to grab a glass of water. Then I heard something. From the back of the house, like someone prying open a window. I froze, metal scraping. Then soft footsteps. My heart was pounding like crazy. I peeked through the crack in the door. 2 figures climbing in through the window. 2 men. Black hoodies. Gloves. Total cliche. I froze. Robbers. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. Tried to call 911. No signal. Shit. They moved toward the living room. I started looking around for an exit. "Check the living room," one of them said. "He's got to be here somewhere." I stopped breathing for a second. Did they know I was here? Then it hit me. The laptop bag was still on the table. My wallet was in the jacket right next to it. For a split second, I thought about grabbing them and sneaking out. Too late. They were already in the middle of the room. "Jackpot," one of them muttered. "This guy's loaded. Wallet's full of cash." "I told you." I froze. "I told you?" Who the hell told them? Then the front door swung open. The sound of heels on wood floors. "Jen, you guys are early." Her voice, totally different now. "Traffic was light. Is he still here?" "Somewhere, probably hiding." My eyes went wide. Wait, she was in on it? I barely had time to think. I heard footsteps coming my way. I spun around and bolted for the bedroom. Carefully, I cracked the window open and started to climb out. "Check the bedroom," one of them shouted. No time. I slipped through the window. The rain had made everything slick. I lost my footing and slammed onto the ground with a loud thud. "There! He's out here!" I scrambled up and took off. Ran like hell. Made it to the main road, heart punching my ribs. I waved both arms like crazy when I spotted a cab. The driver pulled over, eyes wide. "You okay?" "Police station," I panted. "Please, urgent." I jumped in, yelling for him to go now. At the station, I gave them everything, names, what happened, what was taken. Then I waited. 2 hours later, a cop came back. "The place was cleared out," he said. "Looks like a break-in, but no one's there now. Laptop, gone. Wallet, gone. Watch, gone. Everything valuable, poof." "We're looking into the dating app profile," the cop had said. "But odds are, it's fake." I just nodded. Didn't have the energy to argue. Didn't sleep at all that night. Next morning, I canceled all my credit cards and filed an insurance claim. That trip ended on the worst damn note. 2 weeks after I got back to Denver, I was finally starting to forget, trying to move on, get back to normal. Then, one Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. I glanced out the window and saw a woman standing there, black suit, holding a briefcase. "This is Sarah Chen, private investigator," she said, handing me her card. "I need to talk to you. It's about what happened in Portland." I hesitated. "Didn't the cops close that case?" "Not exactly. Mind if I come in?" I paused, then stepped aside and let her in. Sarah sat down on the couch, popped open her briefcase, and pulled out a fat folder. "Robbie, you're not the only one," she said, flipping it open. She spread out a few photos across the table. Different houses, different men, same expression, shocked, pissed, scared, police reports from multiple cities. "Jennifer Martinez has scammed at least 12 men this year," she said flatly. Then she looked me dead in the eye. "But here's the weird part. You're the only one who made it out." My heart skipped. "What do you mean, made it out?" Sarah flipped the page, tapping on a small line with her finger. "The insurance company you used? They hired me to look into it. They thought it was odd. Your stuff was a lot more valuable than what other victims lost. And you bought a property insurance policy just 3 months before the trip." I felt my chest tighten. "Wait, are you accusing me of something?" "I'm not accusing," she said calmly. "I'm asking questions." She locked eyes with me. "How'd you know exactly how to slip out that bedroom window so clean in the middle of a rainy night? Why'd you take out a policy worth way more than what you actually lost?" The room went dead quiet. "And most importantly," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper, "the security cam on the corner caught you and Jen grabbing coffee Thursday afternoon. That's the day before you said you met her on Tinder." I didn't move, just sat there staring while the floor dropped out from under me. The perfect plan. Bring Jen in, stage a fake robbery, cash out the insurance, and wipe out my debt was unraveling right in front of me. "So, you want to tell me what really happened, Robbie?"